welcome to another episode.
Yes, we support each other as much as we can, so I appreciate that. Hey sis, really us doing the work so that we are creating space for ourselves to heal and also for the generations before us.
I'm here to challenge you to do it a little different this year. I am actually challenging you to do the work from the inside out. All right, let's get into it.
All right. Hello. I am echoing on somebody's thing, but welcome to Live with Hanifa Nayela. Today I have some beautiful guests with me, some beautiful ladies, some ladies that are full of wisdom. This is why I brought them here. And we are going to be talking about self-work today. You see the topic, it says, no one is coming to save you. And we are going to delve into that statement. If this is your first time on Hanifa Nayela, please make sure that you go back out, wipe your feet, go back out, subscribe, hit the like button. If you want to share, and then come on back in and join us. I am super excited. Make sure you guys to get all the women, young, 20s, 30s, get the teenagers, get everyone in here. This program is going to be kosher enough for the younger people to watch as well. So let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to do is do a few little house rules. Usually if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can follow me at The Real Hanifa Nayela. It's at the bottom. And if you want to donate to the channel, you can cash at me at Hanifa Nayela. I am open to donations. Sometimes people ask, so I want to make sure that that is there. So feel free to do so. Let's see. I also want to put this up because sometimes people share their story. I just want you guys to know that some of what you might be hearing here might be triggering, okay? Because there are people up here with real life stories, and as horrific as it may sound, it is still their story to tell. So please view at your discretion, okay? What else? Let's see. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to welcome these beautiful ladies. We have Harmony right here in the middle. And we have Miss Nzinga. I do not think Harmony and Nzinga planned the yellow. It just happened. And then we have the beautiful Ma'at at the bottom. And then we have Tiffany at the bottom. And so you guys are going to get to know their personalities as we go forward in the conversation. So let me go in and first see who is with us today. So we have Inya. She says, peace, Hanifa, Ma'at, Nzinga, Harmony, and Tiffany. Peace to the chat. I look forward to this conversation. Inya, much blessings to you. You are always supportive, and I appreciate you so much. And it's actually good to see you commenting today. So shout out to you, Inya. We have him versus her solutions. I think you are new here, but I know that the Baltimore crew brings their people. So I think this person is new, but hello to you, him and her versus solutions, him and her solutions. Welcome. Please, join the conversation, engage with us. So I welcome you. Thank you for being here. We have Underground Queen Mohammed. Peace and blessings. This sister here is hilarious. Thanks for joining us, sis. It's good to see your beautiful face. We have DC Butler. Hey, Darren, peace to you. Thanks for always supporting. I really do appreciate you. We have Queenie is here and ready. Okay. My aunt is speaking to my Inya. Glad to see you in the chat, sis. We have Danique. He said, woo, good day at Hanifa and panel. Blessings to the chat and party. Thank you so much for being here, Danique. We appreciate you. We appreciate all the love that we are receiving from you guys this early in the panel. All right. So, ladies. First of all, I want to say that I am so grateful that all of you guys accepted my invitation. Okay. I was trying to find some different people for the panel. Nzinga, and know she's always welcome here. And so I was just like, and my aunt, I was like, who do I want to have this conversation with? And I really wanted to have it with women. And the reason why is because I really believe that women have the power to change the trajectory of the culture. Whether we want to accept it or not, it is a reality, right? And so this is why I wanted to have this conversation, because the reality is that no one is coming to save you. You are actually going to have to do the work yourself. So I just want to throw this out there to you ladies and delve right into it. When you hear the statement, no one is coming to save you, what do you feel? Does it trigger anything in you? Do you feel a type of way about it? Let me know what you guys think when you hear the statement, no one is coming to save you. And I can start with you, Harmony.
Ashe. First off, thank you so much for having me, Mama. It's such a blessing to be on your platform. I'm a huge fan of yours, Mama Alkamar. I just am so grateful to be here and share this energy with all the beautiful women on the panel. I would definitely say that the moment I saw the title, it definitely invoked in me this whole spirit of, yes, precisely. This is the point that we need to get across. For me, it really resonated with every person, every being out here that is waiting on that apology, waiting on that acceptance, waiting on that forgiveness, waiting on that circumstances, waiting on that healer, waiting on something and someone to come and take them. Take that pipe out of their arm, take that bottle out of their hand, stop that from putting their hands on them, make your superiors respect them, elevate everyone that with, and have given a lot of lives to waiting on this hero, when in fact we've gone through these circumstances so that life can show us what we're made of and making us the hero we're meant to be. So you are where you are so that you can show up for yourself, so that you gain what it is that you need to show up and save yourself. And when I saw that, I was like, yes, this is what we need to know is us. Nobody's coming in your door. Nobody's coming down your chimney. No one is going to put money in your bank account. None of that is going to happen. What you need in your life, the Creator has already instilled in you and is endowing you with the powers to find it, create it, use it, you know? So I think it's a powerful subject. And I'm so excited, as you can tell, to get into this subject with you all tonight.
Ashe, thank you, Harmony. Harmony already ready. She already went there, and I'm here for it. She said, no one is coming down your chimney, okay? They ain't coming. Santa is not on his way. Okay. Stop checking that chimney, girls, okay? Thank you for that, Harmony. Nzinga, what are your thoughts?
Let me tell you something. Mama Harmony comes out the gate. You opened the gate, she came out that joint ready. She's always like that. That's what I love about her so much. But and I would like to also extend that gratitude to you for always, just kind of like reaching out. And for me anyway, I feel you push me out of comfort zones. And just for having this platform for people to be able to come and help each other to heal, because just as we speak into the different people that we're speaking to is healing for us as well, to be able to share our stories. So when I think of, the topic, no one is coming to save you, it reminds me of something that I was speaking about earlier today. I did a live and I was speaking about our healing journeys and how our healing journeys for all of us, they look different. And so what I've come to realize with regards to my healing journey is that nobody's coming to save me. Nobody's coming to, heal that little girl that was, that was hurt, that was neglected, that was abandoned, that was, abused. Nobody's coming to save her. So my healing journey has reflected back to me that I have to heal myself, that I have to come save myself. I have to rescue myself. So when I saw the topic, I said it was dead on. It was right on point, and it's exactly what we need, especially in a culture where we always giving away our power to external people. Like, oh, this person did this, that person, and it don't deny that these people may have done certain things or whatever the case may be, but we have the power to restore ourselves. You understand? So beautiful topic, and just like Mama Harmony said, I'm here for it.
Yes, thank you. So we're gonna go to my aunt and then Tiffany.
Yes.
Hey, my aunt.
So thank you. I want to thank you for inviting me to this wonderful conversation. I'm excited about it, and peace to my sisters on the panel. So when I think of that and the question that you asked, if it's triggering, years ago, it was that question. No, that statement would be triggering, right? Because thinking of, yeah, there's somebody who's supposed to be saving us, like, what do you mean there's nobody that is supposed to be saving us? What we go to church for, right? So, but now in my present state, I think about the power that so many of us, like, we sit on, like, just like, the sisters before us, like that before me were saying, like, we sit on our power. And I think about the strength, just as the strength of a woman, and that's important for us to remember, because our strengths look different than men's strengths. And so understanding what that means, understanding how powerful we are, our power comes not through through physical strength. Our power can come from words. Our power can come from a touch. Our power can come from just walking into the room and shutting down that room that could be full of men. Yes. And so remembering that power and understanding how power, like what you said before about how we dictate where the culture can go or where it can go. The music that are in clubs are for women, right? So that's a strength in itself. So when I hear the statement, like, no one is coming to save you, I understand that now, that I have the power. I rise every day thinking that, like, I have the power to save myself. Like, if I'm, even being the, holistic health is my thing. So when I think about the health of our bodies, like, we always want to run to the doctor and we want to give them that power to say what's wrong with us, when we have the power to fix everything that is wrong with us. Not against doctors, I'm not against that. But at the same time, we should know ourselves better than anyone else should know ourselves. And so, I'll stop there. But yeah, like, that is very important in remembering who we are and remembering our strength and remembering our power and understanding our energy and how that can affect change.
Thank you for that, Ma'at. And you said something, and I'm going to go to Tiffany next. You said something that we should know ourselves better than anyone else. And here's what I say to that. We know ourselves better than anyone else. We need to trust that. A lot of us have issues with trust within ourselves, not with other people. It manifests like that with other people, but we have trust issues within ourselves. We don't trust our own intuition. We don't trust our own inner wisdom. We don't trust our own inner voice. Okay, we don't even trust our own experiences. So where you have an experience over and over, and you're like, no, this is usually the outcome when these things happen, right? We see the patterns, we know what they are, and yet we still go in that direction. Why? Because we think that maybe today's the day that it's not going to happen, even though all the signs show that that's exactly what the outcome is going to be. So it's not even that we don't even trust ourselves. We have an issue with trusting our own experiences. And we're going to delve into that. What is that? What is that with women? To where we are constantly second guessing ourselves. And we're going to delve into that shortly. But Tiffany, your turn to answer the question. When you hear no one is coming to save you, what does that evoke in you? Any response to that?
When I hear that nobody's coming, so at first, right? I'm an individual. Well, first to everybody, hello. Glad to be here. I'm extremely nervous, but hey, Hanifa said you're gonna be on this, you be all right, so I'm gonna be all right. So here we go. So I'm really excited to be here. So I do know myself per se, right? To know that it's me. It's gonna be me that has to do what it is that I need to do, get whatever I need to get done, right? Until certain things come up, and that's when we start to learn ourselves on different levels. And in that is where you might even be shocked with what the outcome tends to be, depending on the situation. So for me, realizing that I am the protector of myself, I guess I learned it in a different stance when I felt like I guess I shouldn't be protecting myself, that there should have been somebody there to protect me, right? Because in certain instances where I'm already doing what I know I need to do, so I'm protecting myself, I'm taking care of myself, I'm doing everything that I need to do. But when it comes to certain situations, it's just like, oh, word, like ain't nobody. I gotta do this part too. So I think in understanding that and just taking those steps and learning who I am even further and even more. And it's not even a cut down or a knock on the head to like anybody, right? It's just what I'm learning about me and what it is that I need to do regardless of, so that's that.
Okay, thank you. So I saw so Tiffany just mentioned like she kind of had like a aha moment with maybe something that she was facing, and it's like, whoa, like actually no one is coming to save me in this. I really need to start to kind of like reevaluate, rethink this thing, right? And how I proceed forward. But I want to make sure that I shout out some new people that I saw that came in. We have Shamanique Thomas. Oh, peace and blessings to you. She said, peace and blessings, lady. Peace and blessings to you. India says, Harmony set it off early. Yes, she did. Okay. She says, welcome to Shamanique. Shamanique says, Ashe. So I see this conversation. Okay, she says, oh, wait, I skipped off. My sister, she says, hey, good ladies. Peace, Tata. Thanks for joining us. Thank you guys always for the support. I got good family, y'all. I got good family. Maryland Show says, and we already know the answer before we go to the damn doctor. Okay. Maryland is frustrated, okay? She said, to the damn doctor, okay? Sir Hale Speak says, hello, ladies. Thank you, Sir Hale, for passing through. Thank you, as usual, for the support. I appreciate all the love. He says hi to you guys. Taylor Nubia says, peace. Thank you, sis, for always passing through and your support as well, your consistent support. Let me see who else. Make sure I don't miss anyone. Oh, Miss Frida People, Alkama, my good sister. She says, peace to the mighty feminine panel. Yes, peace to you too, Alkama. Thank you always for your love and support. Always. Okay. Oh, Pen Fatale. Fatal. Am I saying that right? She said the word right there, power. That is the word that we need to remember. Ashe. Okay. All right. So that's about it for right now. And I'm going to go ahead and get into this with you ladies. Okay. So let's talk about this. There was the other part of the title that we're not mentioning is no one is coming to save you. And that is okay. And the reason why I added that is exactly what Tiffany spoke to, right? I remember if you talk to a lot of people that were from like maybe even here in America, but like from the islands, and you ask them how they learned to swim, a lot of them have a story of being thrown in the water. Okay, now as much as I think that that's traumatizing, it stirs up something in me as, listen, you are either going to figure it out or you're going to die. Okay, you are either going to figure it out or you are going to go under. Okay, and so I think oftentimes that's what happens with us in life, where it's like we're like Harmony said, we're waiting for someone to forgive us before we move on. Mm-hmm. We're waiting for someone to say sorry before we actually heal, right? We're waiting for someone to get it right so that we can get it right. You know, it's a lot of projection that we do where if this person wasn't like this, then I wouldn't be like this, right? If this person would just change, then I would change. And I think that's actually a form of escapism. I think it takes the accountability off of us. And I want to bring it back on us today because I think that that's where the real work is. So let's get into this. We talked about doubting ourselves, doubting our own power. Okay. Why do you guys think, as women, and again, we are talking specifically about women today because Hanifa believes that if women can get their mental, physical, and divine spiritual selves together, aligned, that we have the power to change the trajectory of the culture. We do. And we could talk about why I feel that way all day long. However, I want you guys to talk to me about when this doubt begins. Because I look at my toddler and you can't tell him he can't do nothing. Okay. In fact, you say you can't do it. He gonna push back on you. He's like, yes, I can. Yes, I can. And you're looking like, boy, your feet are too small. They cannot even reach that far. And it's like, yes, I can. So when do you guys think this starts with us doubting ourselves? And why do you guys think we doubt our own power? I'm gonna go ahead and start with we're gonna just go in order. Harmony, go ahead, sis.
Okay, I would definitely first start. So first off, I think this society at large is so anti-us. It's anti-us as a people, but most definitely as black women, right? We have that double-edged sword of both being black and being a woman. In this society, it's considered a sword, right? But it's a double wand for us, right? Double power. But in this society, in the way that it's structured, it's so anti-intuition. It's so anti-softness. It's so anti-femininity. It's so anti-silent strength, big giants. It's anti every single thing that makes the black woman an incredible species, an incredible being. And I think we do pick up on that very early, very young. But I take it back into historically, when we came here, we were stripped from our power source. As a people, the black woman was definitely brought down to the bottom of being a concubine and a reproducing, this entity to just reproduce and for you to, have your good old time with. So all of her powers, all of her greatness from her throne, to the bottom floor is where we were taken from. So I think when we get into that space of doubting our power, this is coming down in our DNA of it being literally stripped from us, of us having to go into dark places to appease our men that are getting beat, raped, lynched, watching us be abused, not being able to come to our defense. So we're always being able to get to this point way before we get to where we are now, just genetically in our DNA, having this trauma that we're battling with about how important we are, how worthy we are, how precious we are. Should we be saved? Is anyone going to save us? We have great grandmothers, great grandmothers that sat on ships at the bottom of ships with no one hearing their cries, who died with nooses around their necks, who were burned and raped and beaten with no rescue. That comes down, that comes down, that comes down, that comes down. So we come in with this curse of oppression on us. And then we get there and we still, because we're incredible, trying to be our beautiful black selves. We're being loving and sharing. I have a 13-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old daughter. I also have an 18-year-old bonus daughter. And I'm saying naturally, we come here to nurture. We come here to smile, to make others feel good. But we're met in a society that is predominantly anti our way. So right off the bat, we're learning that your hugs are not welcome. That I'm going to predatorize you. Sitting on your uncle's lap and being loving and kind, and your fear of getting up because you're going to make him feel bad subjects you to abuse, as a young girl. And a lot of us have begun to not trust ourselves because our gut says one thing. That's our internal measure of divinity. Our divinity speaks to us, but it's not reflected to us in the home. It's not reflected to us in our community. It's not reflected to us. And so we then become the crazy people. That's why I love sisterhood so much. I always tell my sisters, if I did not talk to women about what I'm experiencing, I would think I was a Looney Tune. Because I swear we get to the same conclusion so quick. But when I'm out in the world trying to be like, why don't we wouldn't it just make more sense if we would So it's just that energy that is so anti us, that shuts down our innocence, shuts down our beauty. We're looking at, wake up, my little girl, she gets her beads, it's her nothing. She got whiplash. Already in her world, she's the most beautiful person. But she goes out into a community or society that's anti-her, more a society that's anti-her. So now everything she thought is being questioned. It's not being reinforced. And for a lot of this, that happens over and over. Your mom says you're beautiful, but you go out and you're too dark, or your hair is too thick, and you're being judged much, as women, we're judged much more harshly than the boys are from time to time on so many more levels. So it comes down to, like, I can't trust what I think because I thought I was cute. And I can't trust the way I feel because I felt like I should give love to my uncle. I should trust this boy who says, come over to my house. And then when those damaging things come to break, you're not mad at him, you're mad at you. Because it's like, I should have known better. But your divine energy is saying trust, love, be, grow, experience, explore. And you're in a society that is dark and it is dim and it is anti you. It doesn't reinforce you. And so you get into a place where you're like, how many of us get cold and hard? Because it's like, we get cold, we get distance, we turn into that B word that people like to project onto us. Because what you really don't understand is that my heart is too golden, it's too grand, and it's too beautiful for these experiences. And so I no longer trust it. As incredible as it is, I can't trust it because it's got me raped, it's got me abandoned, it's got me abused, it's got me neglected. And so we begin to look at our heart as the enemy. And because we are in a dysfunctional environment.
Thank you for that, Harmony, because you said a lot, and I was trying to one of the things that you taught, what I heard when you were talking is, when you watch sci-fi fantasy is my favorite genre of movies, and it's usually something oftentimes where the people who have their power, they live in a society where they have to hide that power, right? Because the society is not conducive or it's not welcoming of their kind. And when you were speaking, that's what I heard, where there's a lot of dumbing down and a lot of dimming of our lights that have to happen at a very young age. And you talked about the society being anti-us as Black women. And I will build on that and say we also internalize that, right? We internalize it and then we project it onto each other. So when I see Nzinga stepping out in full confidence, right? Because I haven't figured out how to do that as a Black woman, I have to find a way to dim Nzinga's light. I have to find a way to tear that away from her, because now I have internalized this idea that we are undeserving of shine.
Yes.
Right? We are undeserving of walking in our full power and our fullness and our confidence. And so when I see another sister doing it, it's like, shh. What are you doing? Don't do that. What are you doing? And so we actually end up tearing each other down. So I thank you for mentioning that, Harmony. I'm going to go to Nzinga. Nzinga, what do you have to say about us not trusting ourselves and tapping into our own power? Why are we so afraid?
I was going to say, first and foremost, something that you just now said. I don't want to lose that train of thought, something that you just now said. But Harmony spoke from the perspective of a cultural background, which she hit it dead on. I would, and she hit more in terms of like the home setting, but I'm going to come from the setting of our homes. And I think that all of us have different experiences within our homes, first and foremost, our parents, different stages of their own development, right? Thank God your Tyler telling you that he can fly. You understand? Because obviously you're doing something, or you're cultivating something within him to where he doesn't doubt himself. Okay. He doesn't feel like he has to doubt his power, even though hey, look, he might can fly. Ain't nobody taking that from that brother, right? But obviously, I think that a lot of some of the doubt, I'll say some of it, because of course the external world, the community, our schools, etc., which is also a part of the community, reflects these things back to us. But I'll say within the home, I think that a lot of some of the things that we've gotten with regards to our early experiences of doubting ourselves has come from home. When you say that you want to do something, you want to be something, and someone that you love, someone that you look up to, tell you can't do that, automatically that's like a stomp. You know what I mean? That's why, like with my children, they say they be saying all types of stuff. I feel like you could do whatever you put your mind to be honest with you, you know, and instead of encouraging certain things, we in our own ways, sometimes we just, you know, don't do those things with our children. So I'm speaking from a context of a mother, but from a context of being that little girl who got, you know, stomped in terms of, you know, the doubt stomped out. It would just be saying, you know, a lot of doubt from my parents or from my caregivers who say you can't do this because of their own limitations, because their own ideologies of what, you know, life should be like for a woman or for a girl or whatever the case may be. And then the outer world just reflecting that back to us. But it was something that you said about when you just now made the comment about how we don't like to see people shining, you know, or just stepping into their own being with confidence. I definitely can speak of being one of them people who, when I saw other women behaving in a certain type of way that I wasn't used to, I'm talking about just completely being confident in who they are. You know, those things was very triggering to me because first of all, I ain't never seen it before. And then on top of that, what does that mean to me? You know, does that mean that, which I had to learn, it doesn't mean anything to you. It means that that's an example of what you too can do, you know, so you know, just going along my healing journey, I had to learn that what I want from myself, I have to be able to give. So if I want success for myself and happiness and joy and all those different peace, etc., I have to also offer that to my sister so she can have that as well. But that was a good point that you made. But yeah, that's what I would say. I would say some of the doubt comes from our home and our communities, along with what Mama Harmony said when she spoke about the cultural context of how those things was taken from us before we even got here, you know, and it just you're doing along the way.
Yeah. And it's funny because I'm gonna go on and I saw some new people come in the chat. I want to make sure I acknowledge them, but before I do that, I want to sort of speak to something you said about the toddler piece, right? So I read somewhere that it's probably not the healthiest thing to stop your children from doing, like, if they're safely exploring, to like get in the way of that, because that's sort of how they learn, right? And as you were speaking, what came to my mind is a lot of us, even though we know our power, we're kind of aware of it at a young age, we don't have safe spaces to explore that power. We don't have safe spaces because it's sort of like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? There's a lot of pushback. There's a lot of shutting down. And Harmony said something, I don't know if it's Harmony or Zingla, but I said, it's not necessarily even about from people who don't want to see you shine. Sometimes it's from people who means well, right? Because what they do, yeah, they mean well. It's just that is only their frame of reference. Their frame of reference is just this small box, and they don't know anything outside of that. And here you are, you kicking down, you know, the walls of that box, and they're like, what are you doing? And oftentimes it makes us uncomfortable when we see other people doing it, because we might think they're about to get themselves in trouble. So now it's like, I need to stop this before it goes any further. So there are people, well-intentional people in our lives, grandparents, parents, aunties, uncles, teachers, pastors, okay, people in our sister circles that mean well. And the only thing that they can speak from is the point of reference that they have, right? So when you start to go into uncharted territories, they don't know what that is. So they're afraid for you. And their fear is legit in their own minds, right? So I just wanted to make that clear that, like, sometimes people have good intentions, even though it's damaging to the people that they are, you know, putting those intentions on. So I want to just make sure I acknowledge some people. Queen's Beauty said it starts in teen years. I feel like young Black women get the most backlash for being confident and the least protection when we express our true selves. And that's what I mean by safe spaces. We don't have safe spaces for our girls to do so. I mean, come on, we are a bunch of women on this panel. Let's really get into this. You could have a girl that's like feeling herself and trying to figure that out, okay? Because sexuality is a part of us. We are born with it. It is not something to be shunned. It's not something to be ashamed of. It is something to explore safely and learn about. let's be honest. We have this thing in our community where our young Black girls cannot safely do so without being labeled all sorts of derogatory things. One of the main things is she's fast. She's fast. Okay, she want to be seen. No, she's 9. She is not desiring those 30 and 40-year-old men that are coming after her. No 9-year-old thinks like that. I'm going to go here and get these 30 and 49-year-olds to respond to me in a sexual way. So what's lacking is the guidance and the safe spaces for our young girls, our young children to explore these parts of themselves. We see that a lot in our community. So that's where the protection comes in, right? So you have a safeguard. The home, I think, should be the training ground. I say that all the time.
Absolutely.
It should be the training ground for people to learn, for children to learn and to tap into their own individual power. Mark says, hey, Cousin Tiff. He said, hey, Cousin Tiff and ladies. So my sister says that's facts. Shamanique says they're egging y'all on, boy. They said speak. Okay. Inya says it starts in our village, wherever that may be: schools, church, home life, neighborhood, etc. Society teaches women to compete instead of complete. I like that, Inya. I love that. Society teaches us to compete instead of complete. Woo! That's a word right there. Okay.
Yes, it is.
And I know we had a panel before, and Zinga, you was on that panel, and the title was "We Can All Win." We can all win. This idea to where it's like a bunch of women are together, and I'm gonna be a little bit blunt right here. But the minute I'm gonna be nice. The minute a phallus, okay, a penis enters the room, woman so automatically becomes catty. It's almost this thing, and even if they don't want the guy in an intimate way, they want his validation because of the society we live in. So it's not necessarily I desire you sexually. It's like, if you could just give me that stamp of approval, then I know I'm doing something. And this is where women now begin to look at each other as competition. And this is why sometimes it's hard to build sisterhood. So when you find it, you better hold on to it. Okay, because women become competitive for no reason. And I think that there is enough space. And when we compete against each other, it's coming from a place of lack and fear. Yeah. Because you believe that there's not enough to go around. So I need to eliminate Tiffany. I need to get my act out the way. I need to step on Harmony's head. You know what I'm saying? I need to get in front of Nzinga. Because there's not enough to go around, and that comes from our history as well, as Harmony was speaking to earlier. Okay. So Tiffany said, Tiffany's shouting out her cousin. Marilyn Shaw says, Ashe, Mama Harmony, Ashe. Okay. We have Curtis in the building. He says, good evening, Hanifa. Good evening, ladies. Peace to you, Curtis. Thank you for your continual support. Ashe, Mama Harmony from Queenie. Inya, very true. Okay, so I want to make sure I shout out everyone that just came in. I saw OG Patrice. Good to see you, lady. Thank you for passing through. Marilyn Yah says, she says, yes, Mama, I understood self-love on a totally different level now. The lack of self-love is a big part of the reason some of our sisterhoods are broken. Yes, because there's a lot of insecurity that comes up when there is no self-love. Seriously. She said, I can't see your light because I don't see my own dang light. Very true. She said, yes, the schools we send our kids to just make it worse. I agree with that as well. Okay, so I'm not going to, Jessica says, holding on to mine's tight. She's talking about her power. Yes, and that's good to see you, Jessica. Thanks for the support. Alkema says, good teaching. Okay, so, all right, let's see. Now we're going to go ahead to my aunt and then Tiffany. What are your thoughts on the question about why we doubt our own power? Where does that come from?
So where does it start? So I believe that it starts very young. We can even go to the fact that when children enter school, what is happening, because when we think about, because a lot of this is trauma. So other little girls or boys will point out certain things. You can't do this. You're not pretty enough. You're not this enough, because they're also getting that from somewhere. And so they're pointing that out to you. Quick little story. When my daughter's in gymnastics, there was another little girl, black girl, who's in gymnastics with her. Gymnastics is predominantly a white sport. But so, my daughter, me teaching her, we were homeschooling her since she was, very young. So at this time she's, rising up in gymnastics. And so there was another little black girl. She was excited, like, ooh, another black girl, right? So she's trying to befriend this girl. But this girl is extremely mean to her, saying negative things to her. So she's like, wait a minute, this ain't what you teaching me, like, so I had, so then seeing this little girl, right? And so seeing her mother, way her mother talked to her, so you see that her mother was talking to her in a way that she ended up starting talking to my daughter that way, because that was coming from her own home life. And so my daughter was like looking at it like, this is not what you're teaching me. You're teaching me, like, to love all our people. But, that is a part of what happens to us. I went through things like that, going from private school to public school, thinking, oh, here, all my black people. But then you have other girls, especially girls. Girls can be really hard on other girls, especially in those preteen, teen years. And so you go through where now you're not only internalizing on the unworthiness, like you don't feel worthy because maybe that is happening in your home. Now you're also internalizing it because now you're also getting it from school. You're getting it from other little girls that look like you. You're getting it from boys who you want them to like you. So you're also getting it from that. And so it's the unlayering, right? Like we have to unlayer and unlayer that and see how far back that goes. I talked to you about this, Hanif, about giving our people grace because of the trauma that we've been through. And understanding that, when I acknowledge that my parents may have treated me a certain way because of their trauma and because of the trauma from their parents, and then you take that back to their parents, our great grandparents, and go on back to how that is being represented in our community. So,
Yes.
we have internalized that as women. I don't like to say especially, because I think it's just different. It's a different kind of thing when we talk about it, because a lot of it has to do with the outward appearance. There was a psychologist that was saying that we shouldn't actually tell little girls that they're beautiful, because what happens is they think that their worthiness is equated to their beauty.
That's a good point.
And so when we do that, and then we also attach the societal standard of beauty, it starts being like, okay, okay, you're saying I'm beautiful, but what is the standard of beauty? Because the standard of beauty is what I'm seeing. The standard of beauty is what all these men are attracted to. They may say that we deal with this in this space. Like they may say that they like a natural beauty. But then when you go to Instagram and the models that they're following something totally different. So, it's kind of like, what is actual? Do you find us beautiful, or do you find those women beautiful? Are you really attracted? So then on top of that, when you start getting other things that, meant like women not being needed, like we don't need y'all. Like, the only thing you're good for is like you're an incubator, right? So all of these things that we have started to really internalize. And then I think it was Harmony was talking. I think it was Harmony. I can't remember who said being aware of your power. And as a little girl, oh no, Hanifa, you were saying that not having those safe spaces
Mhm.
as a little girl, you don't have those safe spaces. And how much more that even when we start growing ourselves consciously and we are aware of our power, that we still don't have those safe spaces, because now not only do we have that the trauma on top of that, we're like, what do we even do? Like, what are we even supposed to do with our power? Like, what do we
Mhm.
even like? What does that even look like? You
Yes.
know, like,
Yeah.
and so we have to start understanding what it even means, like true selves, like when Queen's Beauty talks about our true selves. What do our true selves even look like? We've been in this thing for hundreds of years. What do our
Yes.
true, like, what does
Yeah.
true sisterhood look like?
Mm.
You know, like
Mm.
what is me being in my authentic self really look like? Because at
Mhm.
the end of the day, I don't even really know what it's like to really connect on a pure spiritual level with all of this outward stuff, with all of this surface
Yeah.
stuff that
Yeah.
I come to think that is beauty. You know, so like we've internalized this from a very young age. Like my youngest daughter is 10, and she has a, you know, a perspective like she can do anything, be anything, right? Like
Mhm.
she already has 10 jobs that she gonna do in the future, right? Like, and we ain't telling her that she can't do them. Like, you can do them, but and that's the thing. But it's also because of how we had to disconnect her from this society, because people are gonna tell her, and even sometimes she does get people around her say, "Oh, you
Mhm.
can't do all that."
Mhm.
You know, and then she'll come to us. It's like, "Oh, they said I can't do that," and then we have to like make sure that we tell her, like, "Yes, you can." Now, it is not going to be easy to do all these things,
Mhm.
but you can do these things if you prioritize these, you know, different things. So we have all of these societal things that tell us, on top of the people who are experiencing trauma, and now, like you said, they're projecting that onto us.
I'm gonna come to Tiffany to answer last, but one of the things that I want you guys to hold on to real quick, while Tiffany answer this question, the rest of the ladies, because I will come back around. My aunt mentioned something about beauty standards, and I think this connects to no one is coming to save you, and that's okay, because I feel like as Black women, I want us to discuss. But there might be some young sisters listening, just even not even just young, but this might get to someone, right? They might just be on YouTube searching, and it just falls in their lap. And I want us to talk about how do we navigate a standard of beauty that we will never meet.
Mm.
How do we navigate that? How do we feed our confidence? Because my aunt mentioned something about, you can have the confidence, but then you can have the power. You can be aware of the power. But then now you go out there and you're not sure where you're supposed to use your power, because Harmony talked a lot about what they call intersectionalities, where it's like you have a double, she said, a double swan, right? I mean, one. So it's like I'm a woman and I'm also Black. So now you go out there and you have the confidence in your Blackness and your history as a Black woman, but then you go out there, but you're still a woman. And so it's like, where does my power come into use? How do I use my power in a society that says that I am second, right? That I am a second class citizen. And in fact, if you're Black, forget second, you somewhere at the bottom, right? So it's sort of like, how do I use that within the society who has already defined their own standard of beauty, and I still have to exist in that society? Because I know we talk about beauty standards a lot, but I need us to really discuss how we navigate that, because tomorrow we can't change our skin color. Okay, we cannot change the size of our nose, of our lips, of our eyes, the texture of our hair, right? The fact that we have some big booties and some big hips, okay, oftentimes, okay, that we are full figured, like voluptuous woman. And I'm not saying, we have sisters who are on the slimmer side and they still got the breast and they got the butt, and yes, because that's just sort of, for the most part, that's kind of shunned in the society. How do we navigate a society or a beauty standard that we can never meet, even if we tried? And I know some of you guys are probably going to bring up surgery.
Oh,
is what,
Tanifa, you was reading my mind.
which is what we've seen a lot of. But I want to go to Tiffany, and Tiffany, if you could tell us why you think that we deny our own power in this society.
So I think I actually pressed it in the chat, which I didn't mean to, and I tried to retract it, but I don't know if it retracted. However, what I went back to was, I think my app was talking about this in reference to like school and how we look at what is looked upon of what we may have or what we may not have, right? In reference to the students, our peers. So for me, I think where I felt like I was afraid or didn't recognize my own power was, I guess, kind of like growing up in school when you don't have what everybody else has, and it's just like, I'm not good enough because I can't look like they look, or I'm not as fly, you know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of that comes from that, because even at home, when things aren't taught to us directly or specifically, and we don't get those things from home, of course when we go outside, it's like, okay, I guess this is what it's supposed to be. So if we don't have it, then we're less than, or we're not popular, or we're not where we need to be in the world. But also in that, yeah, so we're trying to fit in. And I think once I've gotten older, I started to realize, like, I don't need any of that. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks or what I don't have compared to what you have. Like, it's not all about what you have, actually. Like, who are you as an individual? Period. Like, who are you really to people out here? And then how is your life being projected out? So I started to learn that as I gotten older. But I'm also realizing, now I'm reading it since I see it in my chat. So I'm also realizing that our power changes. And this is just what I'm learning, that I feel like our power can sometimes fluctuate depending on what we're going through in life. Where in one instance we can feel like, oh, I'm good, because I can say, from being a young lady, small, growing up, and I guess I didn't really think about the power thing until I got into school and really started seeing that certain kids had certain things and I didn't have it. And then I started to get there and feel inadequate. Then I grow up, get a little older, and it's just like, no, I got my own style. I do my own thing. Like, it don't even matter. I'm gonna be me out here. But as I'm getting older, I'm also seeing that it's not even about the power of what anybody else thinks of me. It's about the power of what I think about myself, depending on what it is that I'm going through. So in certain instances in your life, certain points and times and certain circumstances that can happen in your life, your power can be dimmed. And it's just like, as my aunt said, because that's what triggered me to go, like, yeah, even now I could not feel as powerful. When she mentioned what did you say, my aunt? You said how what really is my power? What really is it? Because honestly, like, I think I'm in a place right now where it's just like, I'm trying to figure this thing out. Like, do I even have power? And if I do, what really is my power? What's my superpower? And how can I hold on to it? Because again, in life, we can lose our power at some times and feel like we're inadequate, even in adulthood. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Sorry.
I wanted to say something to that, because you made a great point of how we go through different stages and we become different, because we become different versions of ourselves at different moments. I'm going through this stage where I'm like, I ain't gonna have no more babies, like, and so I have to show up differently than when I was a mom nursing my baby. Like, you have to show up differently with your children. You have to show up differently. Like, I'm in a different place, different city and stuff like that, and then different spiritually too. Like, when you grow spiritually, the same, you gotta, like, it's almost like learning to walk. You know, when you start realizing you have your spiritual, you're like, okay, that's there, but how do I use it? Like, how do I use these legs? You know? So it's very important, and that's why, you know, rites of passage are so important in our community, because we need our teachers and our elders and our mentors to be able who understand that, to be able to help us walk, because we need to learn how to walk with these spiritual gifts, with our new consciousness. Like, we're starting to, like, you know, have a different, you know, a different frequency, that different vibration. And we have to understand what that feels like when we're in that new, in a sense, in a new body. Like, we're, you know, we're in that awkward stage. And so it's like learning how to use those gifts and that power.
So I want to give a shout out. I see some new people come in. Thank you for that. Loverboy Lenski, thank you for passing through. It's been a long time. Okay, like we say back home, long time no see. Thank you for passing through. It's always good to see you, sir. And then I saw someone else come in as well. Oh, Chef. Peace, Chef. Good to see you, man. Thank you for passing through and showing us some love. We really appreciate it. These ladies are up here taking me to school today, and I am enjoying every bit of it. And so what I wanted to say to the superpower piece, I am of the mind that your authenticity, right? Who you are, your essence is your fingerprint. There is no other in the world like it. That is your superpower. That is your superpower. What happens to us as women, and this connects to the competition piece, is that I see Tiffany shining, and then I figure if I could take that and emulate it, then I too can gain access, right, to what Tiffany has access to because of her essence, okay? Or I can get the accolades and the attention that she's getting, but I cannot manufacture. You can't manufacture essence. You just can't. It is something that you are born with. It's your fingerprint in this world. And I actually think that that is your superpower. But a lot of us abandon our superpower in the search for somebody else's, because someone says that this is better. I have a confession to make to you, ladies. Someone said something about, I recently had a change of mind, and I've been dealing with a lot of this. There's a lot of like peeling back of layers in my life that's been happening. So I was of the mind that you attract who you are, right? Recently, Spirit was like, nah. Spirit was like, nah, we're going a little deeper than that. And I realized, like, I'm on the mindset now is you attract where you are.
Yeah.
Because and this is how I was shown it. You guys know, all of us have probably been there. You ever look back and you see an ex of yours or something? Shout out to the men. We love the men, okay? But you see an ex of yours and you look and you say, I could have never. How? What had happened? What was going on with us, Hanifa? You know, that happens. It's because you are no longer on that frequency. You are no longer in that space. You are no longer on that vibration. So now you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was even there. Think about all the relationships, friendships that were toxic, that was unhealthy, that you were a part of. I always say, think of where you were at the time. Like, there are people who they end up in toxic situations because they were grieving someone. They were grieving a loss, right? Or they were going through like this really tough transition in their life, and they got tied up with the wrong friends, with the wrong group, in the wrong relationship. It has nothing to do with who you are. It has everything to do with where you are at. The frequency that you are at, the vibration that you are at, that is how you attract. I talk to my aunt I always say to my aunt, listen, there are things on certain frequencies that you do not know is there unless you get on that frequency, right? There are books that exist on a certain frequency that you don't even know exist until you are on that frequency. So when you see the book, you said, what? This book was written in 1945?
Right.
You're like, why am I just coming in contact with it in 2022? Because your frequencies change. And so now your consciousness has opened up and your consciousness is now ready to receive that thing. So I tell people all the time, because what happens to us is the reason why I had to shift is because we start to really think, we start making people believe that a moment defines them. That a moment in time, which is just a drop, defines them. So yes, you were in a toxic situation because you probably were on a toxic frequency at the time. That does not mean that is all of who you are, Harmony. That does not mean that is all of who you are in Zynga. That doesn't mean that you can't change and then change frequency. And now you are somewhere else, and now you start to attract better into your life. So we got to be very careful in how we take moments of people's lives or like one action, and then we define the entire person, because we start to imprison each other by doing so, and we don't allow space for people to actually change their frequency. So I just wanted to confess that I had a change of heart about that. It is not who you are, it is where you are at. You attract people based on where you are at. That's it. I wanted to add that in there. So I wanted to get into, so anyone want to say anything to what I just said before I move on?
Yeah, I just want to say that was a whole mouthful right there. You teaching us. Thank you. Right. I done got a whole paper full of notes of everything you just said.
Wonderful. Anyone wanted to say something? I think go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just by you saying that, it brought me back still to just me even thinking that us as women, we need to know we don't lack power. Like we have the power that we need. And just as you just stated, where it comes in whatever it is that we're going through. Our power gets built up, and we have it. It's already within us, and it's just for us to kind of just recognize that. And as we're going through the situations and going back to what you just said, we will then recognize what our powers are in those instances when those situations come about.
Yes, that's it. Thank you, Tiffany. And so how many go ahead, and then I won't get into the next question. Go ahead.
I also just wanted to add, very similar to what I said earlier, those moments that we do think define us, that we do think demean us or dim us down, are only moments meant to fuel us. They're only, when you have a power, everything works towards your power, the good and the bad. And
right.
Ashamed of when we used to be beat, or we're ashamed of when we used to use drugs, or whatever it is that we've had to crawl through to get through where we are, then we are diminishing our own power. We're trying to become powerful, but we're not using what was meant to make us powerful. That was a tribute to your power. You've come through things people can't imagine. You've endured things that most people would die in. And so when you get to the place where you say, I have arrived at least to this level, you are proud. Those moments are making you. So you definitely have to be at a point where you're shifting that energy when it comes to whatever that moment is that you're allowing to break you, and say like, look, but it didn't. So I can tell you that, yeah, I used to do this, or I used to do that, or I used to think this way about myself, or I experienced this, and I used to date these type of people. And your projection of like, you, I know what it did for me. I know who I woke up this morning as because of the daddy that wasn't there, or the mother that was doing this. I know that every one of those moments only fueled my power. It only made me greater, because that's what I was created for, a source to plug in. And whenever something think it was taken away from me, it was only making me better, because it's already been, I'm already who I'm supposed to be. I just have to continue on this journey and use those powers the way they were intended for me to use.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that, because now we could actually segue into the next question, because now we're in the second half of the show, and I want to get into some practical things, right, that you may have done, things that you have applied in your life to do the self work, because you realize that there was no one with a cape coming to save you, right? No one with an S on their chest coming to save you. You know, like Harmony said, ain't no one came down the chimney. Okay, some of us didn't even have chimneys. Okay, so you realize that very quickly, and I want to talk about some practical steps that you may have taken, because the truth is this: we talked a lot about how we are looked upon as Black women, and how our image is constantly being dissected and attacked and policed even. Okay. Our noses are too big, our skin is too dark, or our skin even in the community is too light. You're not Black enough, you're too Black, right? Your hips are too wide, why don't you have a butt and you're Black? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many different things, that's real, right? There's so many different things that come up, but the truth is this: society is not changing their standards of beauty anytime soon, because the standard of beauty comes from the dominant society, and as long as they are in power, their standard will remain. But we still have to exist in this world, okay?
Yes.
So what can we do to navigate that, knowing I can't change these things about myself? So how do we navigate and cultivate confidence within ourselves to navigate, to safely kind of like maneuver? It's almost like a minefield sort of for Black women oftentimes. So how do we do that, knowing that no one is coming to save us, meaning the standard of beauty is not about to be changed just because we want it to be changed? Okay, so how do you, and you guys can speak personally, how have you, and if you're still working on it, because I'll talk about that when we come back around, if you're still working on it, please say so. Tell us what you're doing, tell us the type of work that you're doing, because we are talking about self-work today. So tell me, how do we navigate that, knowing that the standard of beauty that the society kind of projects on all of us is not going to change tomorrow? So where do we pull the confidence from as Black women? So, Harmony, you could start.
I would say the first thing is that I'm constant. I take no breaks. Society takes no breaks on me. I take no breaks on being strong. There's a lot of us that think we can do weekend work, part-time work, and that we're going to heal and that we're going to grow and we're going to love ourselves, when we've been taught to hate ourselves from the moment we can understand love and hate conceptually or, audibly. When we can hear and receive, from the moment that we've been able to have a different conscience of these things, it's been able to penetrate us negatively. So I think that's the first thing every woman, every being should be thinking is, I'm taking no breaks. My routines in the morning, when I'm on my way to school, when I'm on my way to work, I am always reinforcing. I am always positively affirming myself. I am always undoing and redoing and growing and planting. I take no breaks, because everywhere I go to this day in 2022, there's a symbol out there against me because of where I live and because of the society that I'm growing into. So I think that's one thing that has been always with me, is it's daily. This is me. This is my lifestyle. This is not my pick me up. This is not to get me in a better mind frame. This is all day armor, all day, because I know where I am. And I think the other side of that is, or another added element to that, is the environment. One thing that I'm very, very particular about is that now at 36 years old, I do not play about my environment. I do not play about my energy. These are things that I had to learn about protection. Things that I was lax about, things that I was like, it's okay as long as I now understand how I connect to everyone and everything, and how everything connects to me. And there's no creature in existence that can live outside of its resources, right? So a lion is going to die in Antarctica because it needs the sun, it needs zebras, it needs gazelle. So you put it out there with some fish and some ice and no sunshine, it's going to die. So my thing is, my environment always has to be that which is conducive of a beautiful, vibrant, growing Black woman. That means I can't say that my mate is not with it, but still be in his energy. I can't say that my friends aren't with it, but still be in their energy. I can't see that my work doesn't align with it, but I'm still going to be in that energy, because I now understand that my environment must reflect my resources.
Yes.
It reflects my needs. If I need it to grow and to be, then I'm not going to be around the Instagram models. We're not going to go kick it at Six Flags, because that's not where I am right now. I'm around women that look like me, that smell like me, that have the same values and morals as me. I'm not saying we're closed-minded and we don't grow and build with other people, but I'm talking about sacred spaces. When I'm looking at how I should grow, When I'm being vulnerable, it's around people that have the resources that I need. And I think also my last part about navigating realistically, mama, is removing the facade. We all know the deceptions of this land. The deceptions are what keep capitalism booming. The deceptions are what keeps us from actualizing power and unity. We know about the deceptions, yet we are constantly falling victims to these facades. Keep your facade if it's what makes you sleep at night, but what makes you sleep at night is killing me. So when it comes to, your measure of beauty, that's not realistic for me. I'm not spending $2,000 for the validation or the look of someone else accomplishing looking like someone else. That doesn't work for my family. It doesn't work for my business. And those chemicals are killing us, right? The that stuff is killing us. So I'm saying, again, shout out to Malcolm X's birthday was yesterday. Who taught you to hate yourself, right? Taught you that you needed to spend money to be beautiful. That anything outside of rolling out of the bed as your beautiful self, what this society did. We know who taught us hate. We know who taught us that we were ugly. We still are battling and facing it today. So my thing is remove the facade. Very quickly, I was at a family like game night, and my brother-in-law, they were all like rating themselves on a scale from 1 to 10 on like rating yourself overall, how much of a match are you? And I was definitely like 20. And everyone was like, you're just doing too much. You're being really like, you want to make it sound. So my brother-in-law brought in, like, no, realistically, honey. Okay, so Beyonce 10, Rihanna's a 10. I know that was ignorant, right? Rihanna's a 10. Where are you putting yourself? Again, at a 20. Because you're talking from a place of the facade and the deception. I'm saying when I wake up in the morning, before I brush my teeth, hair is on fleek, skin is on fleek, I'm on fleek. I want you to show me Beyonce up in the morning, natural hair, no lashes,
right?
It's no competition. I want you to show me Rihanna, and I'm saying beautiful women.
Yeah.
The level is like this. Nobody is going. So I had to explain to him. So you see Rihanna busted wide open. So you're saying she's sexier. You don't know what I'm working with? Okay. You know what I'm working with. See all of that determination that she's sexier, or that she's this and that she's, and of course this is a male perspective again. But my thing is, you are looking at the illusion and the facade. And I'm saying, as women, when you get to the point of who has more money than you, who has more credentials behind their name, who has this, put into proper perspective the facade. Because some of those people had a daddy, and some of those people had a trust fund, and some of these people had help in communities and churches and mothers that stepped in while they were in college. And I'm not saying that you should be in the energy of constantly comparing, but I'm saying you have to remove the facade about, am I beautiful? Because I'm comparing it to, 16 hair down on somebody's behind that was on a surgical table. I'm saying that I have changed my perspective of beauty to be what the creator gave me. Is what the creator gave you healthy? My hair is healthy. The creator gave you strong? My skin is strong. My immune system is strong. My body is strong. I've bared and birthed 5 healthy, beautiful babies. You're not going to tell me I'm not on fleek. Everything is supposed to be. And I'm saying, but that is because I am not with the facade. It's not going to be the Gucci. It's not going to be the money. It's not going to be the shades. It is going to be, if we all sitting up here with nothing on, the beauty. We came here the way we were born. Your lips, your cheekbones, my lips. We're not going to say that anybody look like money. We're going to say you look like God. You look like God, and you look like God, and you look like God. And so when we drop the facades, we change that. The only time in my life I can ever even have a recollection of questioning myself and my beauty, which was very dangerous for me, was I grew up in Georgia, and when we moved to Baltimore, I was in Pikesville. I went to a predominantly Caucasian middle school and high school. It was the first time in my life I had ever looked at myself like, is something wrong with me? In raising my daughters, I'm trying to tell you, they think they all that. My 13-year-old, she gets into school. It's the first time that she's wearing a hood. It's the first time that she wants to wear fake hair. It's the first time, and I'm saying she growing up with a mother who she never even seen do any of that. Don't even make that. But I'm saying she's at the point now where she's like, you're being exposed to other things that, again, not your environment.
Yeah.
A lion in Antarctica trying to be a polar bear.
Mm.
If we're going to navigate realistically, we have to make sure that we are constantly putting our children, ourselves, our kings in realistic environments that are conducive to what you're not going to put a working class Black man around a billionaire. He's going to begin to think something is wrong with him.
Yes. Okay.
You put him with other working class men that have goals, mindsets, and moving in the same direction. Not that there's ever anything wrong with aspiring, but there's a thin line when you have nothing that feeds back to you. You send out a signal and there's nothing that catches your signal. You become a no man on an island all by yourself. So I would say definitely if you are in that place where you're feeling like, how am I going to navigate these impossible standards? You get away from these facades and you create an environment that's conducive to your natural and divine self. I don't feel crazy about saying I'm going to breastfeed my baby when I'm around women that's going to breastfeed.
Exactly.
All about formula. I'm going to start to think the pressures of breastfeeding going to get to me.
Yes.
They're going to get to me. I worked in corporate America so much and I heard so many women be like, I don't know what to do with this stuff. Their hair. What am I going to do with this next? All of that. And I'm saying if that's all I'm around, then yeah, this is stuff. This becomes annoyance. This becomes a burden. But around in your natural environment, what's a burden is someone else's beauty. It's divinity. So I would say that's absolutely how you're going to navigate this impossible place. Make it possible. Work from your source.
So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to put, so number one, we have Harmony came in with remove the what? Facade. That's solution number one. So I'm going to go ahead and add that right up in there. Remove the facade. That's number one. Okay, guys, listen up. Take notes like Nzinga said. I see the pen in her hand. Take notes. Okay, we got one solution so far in how do we navigate a standard of beauty that we will never meet in this society as Black women. So go ahead, Nzinga, give us what you got.
Now, quick question, because listening to Mama Harmony, but I tell you, I done got caught up. I'm thinking we talking about facades, but what was the original question you asked?
That's the original question. Is that how do you, or in general, someone that's listening, how do we as Black women navigate, right, a society with a beauty standard that we will never meet? How do we navigate that? Where does that confidence come from? If the society is constantly sending us messages that we are less than.
I thought the question was something else. I done wrote down some other stuff. I thought you asked what are some ways that we ourselves actually implement now to begin. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I said. It could be you, or just like you could use yourself. Like what have you implemented in your own life? Yes, you're right.
Okay, so for me, I would say, I know Mama Harmony was just speaking about when she first started talking, she was speaking about her rituals, being really big on her rituals, her daily rituals, and making sure that she waked up and she really dedicated herself, not taking any breaks on her self-care, on the cultivation of her mind, her spirit, etc. And I think for me, I just wrote down putting yourself what you desire to exude. So whatever it is that you desire to exude for any person, because I think that when people are beginning their healing journeys and they beginning their journeys in life, sometimes they don't always know. They're not always aware of exactly what to do, like what that ritual will look like, etc. So I would just say, first and foremost, to put in yourself. And when I say put in yourself, I'm speaking about the things that we watch, the things that we consume, as far as what we eat, and the people that we have around us. That's our sacred space. So being mindful of what we are putting in ourselves. So if it's not something that you want to exude, if it's poor health, if it's, you know, a whole bunch of shows and stuff that don't, because people don't tend to understand that the stuff that we watch, it does affect us. And I used to be the one that would say, no, I could watch, you know, Love and Hip Hop. That was one of my shows back in the day, you know, because it was a whole bunch of craziness drama, right? You know, back in the day, they had the soap operas. Now 20s and up, 2000s up is Love and Hip Hop, right? But saying it just to say that I had to understand that I was being impacted by what I was allowing in my mind. And so whatever you want to exude, you have to be willing to make sure you're mindful of what you put inside yourself. So I said also, outside of being mindful of the things that you watch, being careful of the things that you consume with regards to what we eat, the stuff that we put on our skin. Mama Harmony says she wakes up with her skin popping. So making sure that we be mindful of the stuff, the chemicals and all these different things that we're using, that we're putting on ourselves, and just being careful of the people that we have around us. Because if we are around a whole bunch of people that reflect back to us that you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that, having people comparing you to Beyonce's and all this stuff, and some people you can't get rid of, I get it, but I'm saying that too is important. Imagine being around a person that thinks that way all the time. At some point, it will begin to subconsciously sit in your mind somewhere to make you question your own beauty and question your own worth, because you're around people who constantly question it as well. So that's the first. And then I put a big circle around the word mind shift, because I think we have to be very, like I just now said, conscious of what we're putting around us, but we have to be willing to change the mindset. Like Harmony just now said, remove the facade. I think that pretty much goes in alignment with that. When we remove the facade, it allows us to change the paradigm of how we think about ourselves and how we see the world. You know, like she just now mentioned about the breastfeed, and I'm piggybacking off everything you said, Harmony. So just like, but because you made some really great points, and there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. I'll just speak from my perspective of certain things that you said, like breastfeeding. There's been times, and I have 6 children, and there's been times when I breastfed my last 4 children, and you know, I had to deal with people and their comments about, you know, why are you doing that? That's nasty. You know, and that was around in an atmosphere where people looked at that as being nasty. It made me feel like, is this, you know, I knew it was the right thing to do, but I questioned it. And that was because of the environment that I was in. But when I'm around my sisters and they already know what it is, even around my brothers and they already know what it is, it's no question. It's like, this is what I'm feeding my baby this liquid gold. You understand what I'm saying? And never even second guess it. Half the time, don't even have to cover up, because I know that if my brothers, even though they're going through different, if they see me, it's not all of that craziness. Whereas though if I'm out somewhere else with people who don't see that type of stuff, they may look at that like maybe sexually. I don't know. You know, so I'm covering myself up. But removing the facade, Harmony, you hit it dead on that. And I would second that comment. Remove the facade. And that's my input.
Yeah, consumption too. Nzinga says, be conscious. Well, her number 2 actually would put in yourself what you desire to exude. Because what goes in comes out at the end of the day. What goes in comes out. I can tell you guys, I know when I came out the church, and Tiffany will probably laugh at this. When I came out the church, my first little curse word I used to use, to the point where I used to use it like it's out of context. It just sounded crazy and like dumb. It just sounded dumb. I just would find any reason to use the word shit, like all the time, like. So I would be like, what the shit you doing? This shit.
Terrible. All day.
But what happened is that I had changed the company that I was around. So I was around people that, even though they were very smart and very brilliant, like curse words were part of their everyday language and their conversation. And so I started to take that in. There was one time I used the word, I don't call my sisters bees. That's not a thing that I do. I didn't grow up with it. Just like I didn't grow up using the N-word. There's certain words that just, you know. And so one day I actually used the B word. And I was like, whoa, you know. And it was because I was consuming a lot of drama. Now I use it talking to someone in my house, but it was because of the things that I was consuming. So when I think of consumption, I think of what we eat, what we see, and what we hear. Because a lot of times people talk about the TV alone, but what type of conversations are you amongst?
Oh, yeah.
What type of conversations are you having? What type of conversations are you having within yourself? Right? To the point where you could be talking to like a friend or something, and you finish the conversation, and then you feel heavy. You just feel heavy in your spirit, and then you're like, well, next thing you know, you're snapping on the children. I had a situation like that one morning. It started off. The morning matters. Okay. You gotta capture that morning, okay? Because how you start your day matters. I promise you guys, I started off that day. I was upset. It was early in the morning. My whole entire day was off. Completely off. I couldn't shake the energy. I just couldn't shake it. And so later on, my fiance and I was talking, and he made the observation, and he told me, and I say, yeah, I did realize that, right? Because I take evaluation of myself every night. How did my day go? How did I parent? What could I do better the next day? How did I treat a friend? Was I out of line? Did I say something that I probably shouldn't have said? Are there any apologies that need to be made? And so in thinking back, I was like, when he told me, I was like, yeah, I felt it. I couldn't shake the energy. So it's not just what we're seeing, it's also what we're listening to. And then there is that sixth sense that no one talks about, which is the energy piece of it. Energy jumps off of people. It does. It jumps off of people like lice. You hear me? So you sitting there and you rubbing shoulders, and you think it's all cool because you think your mind is strong enough, right? And you're on a different consciousness, and then you leave that situation like, whoa, what is this? Now I want to curse everybody out. Now I'm pissed, right? And now I can't even talk to my children in like a calm manner because my frustration is elevated. Right. So it's not just what we look at, it's also what we listen to. And the type of like Nzinga said, what you put in yourself is it's going to come out. There is no way around it. I always tell people, you cannot play games with the spiritual. You cannot cheat it. You cannot take your shortcuts. It will come out. And if it don't come out in you, it's going to come out in your children, because oftentimes they come out here and they're telling us, This is really how our home run. Don't mind how my mama out here acting sweet. Okay. Like my aunt said, whenever that child that was dealing with her daughter, whatever she was dealing with in her home, she was telling on her parents by the way she interacted with my aunt's daughter. So whether you try hide it, it comes out one way or the other, right? And then Nzinga also says, be conscious of what you consume, shift your mindset. And the only way to shift your mindset, it has to be a change of environment, because we are constantly getting stimulation, right? And information that's constantly given to us, whether it's what we see, what we hear, what we feel, what we smell. All of our senses are constantly at work, right? And so you're taking in those things. The only way you can shift that, the only way that you can send your cells, okay, because this is on a cellular level at this point. The only way that you can send your cells in a different direction is to change your environment, because you got to change the information that's coming in. Otherwise, there's nothing that's going to change. So, Nzinga, thank you for that. I'm going to move on to Ma'at, and then we're going to move on to Tiffany. But before I do that, Ma'at, let me just make sure I make sure that I see. Just do it. Shout out to you. Thank you for passing through, brother. Thank you for always supporting. We see Simon. He says thumbs up. That's all Simon have to say is a thumbs up. Let me see. I just want to make sure. Oh, Sis says I'm using. Sis said, okay. You can be fine a non-cursing person, and you start hanging out around people that curse all it. I am telling you, you're going to get into a situation and it's just going to roll off of your tongue. And you're going to be like, where'd that come from? What you consume. That's a real thing. Tilla said, yes, a woman should cover when breastfeeding, for this is a sacred act between mother and child. Peace. Let me see. Okay, so my aunt, you can go ahead and speak to what we're talking about. What have you done for yourself? What would you tell people to do, about the society we live in that's not going to change to accommodate us? So where do we get our confidence? How do we cultivate that?
So you have heard it on my channel. You have heard it here on Hanifa's. You have heard it on other channels. You got to kill that little white man inside of you.
That shit.
So please do expound.
So I say that all the time because, like, we have to unlayer what we have been conditioned to think about ourselves, So when we talk about, and I think a lot of people don't realize how deep it goes, because when you look in the mirror or you look at your other brother and sister and you don't think that they don't look that good, but you see someone else who you really are attracted to the African features of other people, but they have that looser curl pattern, or they have, it's stuff, they have the lighter skin, whatever it may be, because of the conditioning, in order for them to even make you think that, they had to get some fake science for you to even believe the way that we believe about ourselves. So one thing that I do personally for myself is really being intentional. Well, I'll put it this way, is to act with intention, but to also act intentionally, which are two different things. So to act with intention means to act with thought only. So that's important. But then to act intentionally means to act on purpose. So just for example, so why do we homeschool? And shout out to Harmony for the quote by Malcolm X. And I like to give another quote: only a fool will let their enemy teach their children. So, when I think about that, I think about, why did we start homeschooling? We started homeschooling not just so we could separate our children, but for them to understand themselves, for them to know themselves, for them to understand the beauty of themselves, because eventually they are going to go into the lion's den, right? Eventually, the quote unquote lion's den, but they need to be so secure in themselves, so secure in who they are, so secure in their history and where they come from, that when they do enter the quote unquote lion's den, that is not going to affect them as much as them being in it day in and day out when their young minds are still forming. And so, when I think about even the us moving, like when we moved to Georgia, we moved because we had to move into a place where there were more people that look like us, where I could send my daughter to dance and she's going to see pretty much everybody who's teaching her, from the kids, are going to look like her. So she's going to say, man, like, okay, it's not just white people doing this thing, right? It's us doing this thing, and we created this thing, and then we do it with more creativity, and then they do it. So, it's one of those things that we have to, that's a part of acting with intention. So I'm very intentional with my children, like what my children watch. They get upset because they can't hardly watch anything. So the images that they see on TV, the music that they listen to, the people that we choose to be around, just like one of the sisters was saying, like the spaces that we're in. I choose to be in spaces that look like me and that are also vibrating on a certain frequency. And then you do. I like when you said, Hanifa, that sometimes things become like, you become aware of them when you're on that frequency. So then I start seeing, like, I'm attracting people to me that are just, like, I had no idea, no idea that they were, one of the sisters here, I had no idea that she was a holistic practitioner. I saw her for once, and then boom, we were like, oh, we have this thing in common. And so it's one of those things where being very intentional of my space, space in YouTube, space on social media, space in my real life, you know, like it's really important of the energy, the people I talk, you know, the people I talk to. There are some people that I can only talk to them every blue moon because just like you said, their energy is going to affect me. I have had conversations with people that it took me a couple of weeks to get that energy off of me.
Weeks?
A couple of weeks, yeah.
Wow, okay.
And so, you know, like when we talk about absorbing entertainment, the entertainment that we absorb, the social media that we absorb, we don't even understand how our brains are like little computers, like our eyes, you know, like our eyes. And so what happens is, even if you're on that thing for a second, you have already absorbed it, it's already into your consciousness, and it's already affecting you. There was a sister on Facebook from the from where I from the city I came from, and it kind of saddened me that she was thinking like this, but she was kind of going on a long tangent about how her health and how her health was affecting her weight gain.
Okay.
And so the thing is, I also know what, like, because you post everything on Facebook, I also know what you're eating, you know? So the thing is, it's just like what we have to understand about a health thing, like a disease that you may have. I'm not gonna say what she said she had, but the thing is just it's triggered by the like food intake is triggered by the emotions. And then the food is causing the disease. But then when you get the disease, you get emotional. So then you want to eat again. So then you're eating more food to cause the disease to grow. So we get this effect of back and forth, and we're continuing to try to feed our emotions, feed this away, feed whatever it is. And we are continuously absorbing not only the energy of the food, but we're absorbing the toxicity of whatever is in that food. So the toxicity of the person that made the food, the toxicity of, if it's an animal, of the animal after it was being killed, and the emotions and all of that, because we know that energy does not die. So really being intentional, because when we say, you know, we're high vibrational beings, or we like, you know, we in the conscious community, and we want to talk all this high vibrational, high frequency talk, but then we're not really living up to it, because we sit there and we're like, okay, we're going to absorb all of this toxicity. We're going to sit there and we're going to go and eat all of this terrible food. But then we want to say that our bodies, you know, are high vibrational, when we're constantly ingesting things that are detrimental to the way that we think, the way that we speak, the way that we move, the way that we even connect to one another. Some of us don't even think that we can have a relationship or a friendship without food, without a drink, like without anything. We don't think we can go out and have fun unless we have something that is
socialized.
Right. And so being very careful of what we absorb, especially when, and you know, when we talk about it holistically. So you're talking about what you absorb from entertainment, media, food, friendships, all of these different things, family members. And the last thing I'll say is, one thing that really hurts me is how we think of our ancestors. So a lot of us can't honor our ancestors because we think they're evil. So once we start unlayering that, and why, and that goes back to the first thing I said, killing that little white man inside of you, because you only think that your ancestors are evil. You only think that their traditions are evil. You only think that their practices are evil. You only think that they're worshiping the devil because that is what the white man told you, and what he needed to tell you, so that you could not be aware of your power and utilize your power.
I say, I I have something to say to what my aunt said, but I'm going to come back to it because I want to let Tiffany speak, and then I want to open up the lines for anyone that want to come up and speak to you ladies, or they have a question, or I want to leave the last 15 minutes or so of the program for that to happen. So Tiffany, if you can go ahead and respond to everything, you can respond to what you've heard, or if you have your own input. But my aunt, Harmony, I put Harmony's link for her YouTube channel in there. I see that Lensky say he subscribed, so you got a new subscriber.
Thank you,
But I
Mama.
put my aunt's link and I put Harmony's link. You guys make sure you go and you guys check out their channels. My aunt, before I move on, so tell me what your thing was. Is what are we saying? Pay attention to what we're consuming. If you were to sum up everything you just said.
Some of I would say just being to act with intention and to act intentionally.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Act with intention. Okay. And act intentionally. Okay. I love that, my aunt. Thank you for that. These notes are going to stay in my StreamYard. So I just want to make sure I got everything. So my aunt's known was number 4, act with intention and act intentionally. I love that, my aunt. Thank you. Tiff, you could jump right in and let us know what your thoughts are. You may have heard something already. So go for it.
Yeah, so you ladies said a whole lot that has helped me with what it is that I want to say. So my feedback on everything. Well, first I want to start with Harmony said in reference to the facade. So the first thing that came to mind for me was we need to be kind and we need to be real with ourselves. And I'm saying that is because we're constantly growing. And throughout even this conversation, I'm still hearing and understanding that this is still a daily process that we have to go through with ourselves, right? Harmony, you were on it with like, what you doing? Can't nobody stop you? You got it. Da, 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 da. Like, it was awesome. But I know sometimes I can be there and then other days I'm not. So I just want us to also be kind and be like really authentic with ourselves. And I try to tell that to my son all the time. Like, you have to be your real self. Like, I'm your mother. I know when you're not, so therefore the world is going to actually also see that. Like, love on yourself, be your real self. Then we went to with what Nzinga stated was in reference to your mindset. We have to continue daily to like get our mind right, because any and everything can come and distract us, throw us off target, throw us off our goals, because daily I'm going through that. Like I said, I could be good one day and then it's just like I ain't good today. Like today I'm just not. And when Hanifa jumped in and stated she takes an evaluation on herself every night, I don't do that, but maybe I should, because I need to think back onto how this day went and how I can continue to be better and how I can continue to grow. So, and then back to the mindset. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, living here in Maryland now. So I travel back home to visit my brother and my sister, my family that's back at home. And there was a time where my brother was doing like this fast. And I don't even think it was like necessarily like a fast, but just what he was switching for his betterment of himself. And he was just like, I can't watch certain movies, I can't listen to certain music. And I got it, right? And I'm like, yeah, I understand that, but I'm like, but for how long? And like, it was where I felt like I was even trying to dissect it, like all certain musics, like you can't even just listen to this sometimes. And and then sometimes that's what we do, we like pick up things here and there and don't even allow ourselves to go through the whole process of even letting things go, where it's just like, oh, but I need that. And as my aunt said in reference to when we eating foods and things of that nature, we know what we shouldn't be eating, we know certain things that we shouldn't even just get ourselves involved in, but we do. And then lastly, what my aunt mentioned was being intentional. It's a constant work that we have to do with ourselves. We have to be intentional for ourselves. Our families are watching us. Our children are the first ones who are looking at us. And none of us are perfect, right? But we have to be intentional about the things that we desire and about the things that we want. We can't even allow, well, I'm not gonna say we can't allow other people to like influence us, because other people's influences can help us, right? And that's the reason why we're even on this panel, because this is what we are bringing in, our own experiences and our advice to each other to help to build each other up. So it's not that, but don't just take what other people say as the end all be all. Also hear yourself, because you do have great ideas. You do have steps in which you can maneuver yourself, because again, we going back, we know ourselves, we do, but it's at certain instances where we don't even want to hear ourselves. We're mad at ourselves. We don't want to, so we don't even want to recognize ourselves, and we put on that facade. Time out for the facade. Like, we out here acting like we certain things and we're actually not. And when we get blown up, we're gonna be in our feelings. But no, you knew who you were, right? Because what we do is we tend to point the finger a lot of times at others when we need to point it at ourselves, because we still are on a constant, we're works in progress, and we continue on that daily. So my thing to all of us is just to continue to work, continue to journey. We got it. We just got to push ourselves, because sometimes we need an extra oomph, because all our days aren't always good days. And when we go through them bad days, I might have to call Hanif and be like, "Yo, this ain't it." And she might have to reel me back in. Well, Tiff, did you think about it this way? And I did. But when I hear it from her sometimes, or hear it from another elder or somebody else that it needs to be spoken to, then it's when it's like, you already knew that.
Yes. Yes.
But when you hear it from somebody else, that's confirmation. You already knew what you were supposed to do, what you should have said, what you should not have done, and go from there. So we just got to be real with each other, with ourselves. We have to be real with ourselves.
That's another one that I think we do as women, particularly Black women. We are constantly looking for confirmation to what we already know. And that goes back to okay, so Tiffany, let me I'm gonna put this in the banner. So Tiffany says, what I summarized Tiffany on by saying, be real. You can't do the work if you're not real. Otherwise, what are you working on? If you're so busy putting up this facade and being performative in your healing, you want to look like you're healing, but not really heal. You're just going to stay damaged. You know what I'm saying? So yes, you got the crystals, you got the Palo Santo, you got the sage, you know what I'm saying? You're going to the retreats, and you posting it on social media. You got all the aesthetics, you got the little beanie in the middle of your head, because you're like, I'm centering myself. You talking about the chakras and whatever. And you got the lingo, you got the behavior, all of it that says healing. But are you really healing? Because healing is a personal thing. It is a very personal thing. Okay, like my aunt and I, we've laughed, and my fiance, we laughed at like people who turn their camera on, as they're crying. How do you do that? Ma'am, sir. I'm gonna need you to respect the sacredness of this moment and your tears. Thank you very much. Everything is not for public consumption. We have to understand that. So you have to ask yourself, do I want to be seen or do I want to be healed?
Ashe.
Do I want to be healed or do I want to be seen? Which one is it? We have to come to that. And so I know we're going to be wrapping up. I shared the link. If anyone wants to come up, feel free. All are welcome. Okay. I know it's all women up here, so men, don't get intimidated. You are welcome as well. But I want to share something with you guys. I'm going to go back to what my aunt said. So my thing is this. Here's my little addition to what we said. Mine is, and I'm going to type it in, stop waiting for the environment to change for you. You change it by changing yourself.
Ashe.
That's it. we are looking for our change to come from outside of ourselves. And someone, I think it was Harmony, that mentioned how we can't get, we are unable to get the validation that we need as Black women from the outside. I think that perception matters in this case, because I think that there's a silver lining in that, because it forces us to go within ourselves, because we've accepted, the quicker you accept that you're not going to find it outside of yourself, the quicker you can get to going within yourself for it. So yes, I want to feel beautiful. I'm not going to get it from out here. So I need to go within me and get it from there, so that when I show up in a space that says this is the standard of beauty, I could still say I am beautiful. Okay? When I show up in a space that says only people with degrees are considered intelligent, and I don't have a degree, my education stopped at high school, or I may have dropped out, I could still walk up in that space and say, I am brilliant. Okay? That's when it comes from inside of you. Mama, this lady, she's a astrologist, right? She talks about, she always says, spirit works from the inside out, not from the outside in. So when we talk about changing our world and changing standards and so forth, the standard that you wish to change has to be changed in you first. Otherwise, you ain't doing nothing. Because if you go out into the world and you haven't dealt with that within yourself, the world will eat you alive. It will consume you and it will spit you out. And it would leave you feeling worse than you were when you came into the fight. So you cannot come into a fight and win it until you win that fight within yourself.
Ashe.
So I wanted to say this, and I know we're gonna wrap up and I'm gonna give everyone their closing remarks. I wanted to speak to now I'm gonna have another confession that comes out, right? So everybody's talking about like the pandemic weight. So everybody that know me know I gained weight, right? So I gained some weight and I don't feel like myself, right? And I'm not sad about it, but let me tell you what I realized the other day. I've been and you guys who follow me on Facebook may have seen me posted about it, rethinking anger. That's my hashtag. Okay. I realized that through eating junk, because I am a vegan, but I'm a junk food vegan right now. In this, again, it's the space that I'm in. Okay, I realized that I'm using food to muzzle my anger. So whenever I feel that emotion comes up, instead of facing it, instead of having a conversation with it, instead of allowing the anger to tell me why she is there, I muzzle her. So now I gotta go get some sweet and salty popcorn because I ain't trying to have this conversation with this emotion. I'm not. So what do? I muzzle it. And I wanted to share that because I said, I think a lot of us do that. Even though we are not able to express it the way I'm expressing it, right? I think a lot of us do it where we have this uncomfortable emotion that comes up, because let's be honest, as Black people in this society, we don't have the luxury oftentimes to access the full spectrum of our emotions. So we have like 3 emotions in default. Okay, we mad, we happy, that's about it for 2, and it's worse for our men. But like for our women, we don't really access the full spectrum of our emotions. So anger is one of those emotions that comes up. And I put in my status today, anger is simply a messenger. It is not meant to be weaponized. Anger comes with a message. Anger comes as a tool towards change, whether it's inner change or outer change. So that anger is there to inform you of something that you need to change. But if you are muzzling it, like me, guilty, then you can't change the thing that the anger is trying to communicate to you that you need to change. The anger is saying, we don't like this. Get this out of here. That's what the anger is coming to do. But instead, I am busy, and maybe somebody's listening that they might be able to relate to this, where I'm like, I gotta shut you up. right? And where do we speak from? Our mouths, right? And where do we try to shut it up from? By placing what? Stuff in our mouth. It's a form of muzzling your emotions. It's a form of muzzling your emotions. So that's something that I'm currently sitting with. And that's why I said, if you guys are currently working on anything, like that's what I'm currently working on. Like, what is it that you are angry about? And then let your anger speak. Because if you don't let your anger speak, it has to go somewhere. It has to go somewhere. And if it goes back inside of you and fester, guess what's going to happen? Your anger is going to show up at an unexpected time and just embarrass the hell out of you. And then you're going to go home like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. But that's the anger. And most of the times we are dealing with people's anger that is misdirected. It's not even really for us. It's for someplace else and for another situation. But because they didn't sit with the anger, they didn't allow the anger to speak. Right. Now they're projecting it into a situation that have nothing to do with that particular emotion. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to try to just enter that if we are going to change, we need to stop. We need to stop waiting for the environment to change, right? Or the environment to change us. And we need to change the environment by first changing ourselves, right? You, Tiffany, you can go ahead, and then I'm going to check the comments, and I'm going to let everybody wrap up. Go ahead, sis.
So with that, you're right. I did not, and I meant to say what it was because I'm still working on stuff. And the one thing, as you just mentioned, that is a part of the anger for me is the expectation. I'm working on the expectation of others to, even going back to the topic, being a protector or just being what I need for them to be or what I expect them to be, right? And understanding that that is not going to always happen. And when it does not, what do I do with that? Because what happens for me is that when that expectation is there, you don't even really notice that it's there until it's not there. So I've realized that, right? When the protection isn't there, you don't really notice it's not there until it's literally not there when you actually feel like you need it at the most. So in that, I am working on that part of me of when it ain't going the way that I expect it to go. That anger is your pettiness or your expectancy of what you want to go your way, and honey, it ain't gonna go your way. So I understand that. I understand that with the and even it's the misdirected anger, you know, as you talked about, right? Where you're now mad at the household or your whole energy just shifts, like everything just starts to change. And it's just like, no, that's what I'm working on, that expectancy portion of what I expect to happen. And then when it's not, I have to be able to work on my own power of filling that void.
I see. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start to wrap up. And so what I need you, first of all, I want to say that this was a powerful conversation. This is a powerful conversation. I have a lot of notes that I wrote down as well in Zynga. And I wanted to have the conversation because I think it's important for people to see us talking about these things unapologetically, right? And fiercely, right? Standing in our power. And power does not necessarily mean perfection. You can be powerful and imperfect. You can be powerful and have imperfections. That is absolutely possible. So this idea of, because we delay a lot of the things that we should be doing because we're waiting to be perfect first. Okay, I need to do this first before I put myself out there, before I share my power, before I share my gift. And the reality is, I hate to bust your black bubble, that time will never come. You will never be perfect because there's always something to work on yourself. To me, perfection is awareness. It's knowing that you constantly have to take care of that and take care of this. You are not, your power is not rooted in your perfection. That's a word. Your power is not rooted in your perfection. Okay. So in closing, we're going to go around one more time. And I just want you guys, in closing remarks, what do you want people to take away from this conversation of No one is coming to save you, and that is okay. So let's start with Harmony. What's your closing word, sis?
My closing also is just to say thank you to all the beautiful women that I shared this panel with today. Your exchange and your energy has definitely been a beautiful manifestation. I'm so grateful. My weekend is gonna be lit because of all of the power that is on this panel today. Queen Hanifa, I want you to know that even your invitation is healing, it's reassuring, it's restorative. And sometimes we don't know just being your beautiful Black self and how that restores someone else on their journey. And I just want to say thank you so much for being an authentic, beautiful sister who wants to see the best in other women and wants to illuminate the best for us all. It is a beautiful platform, and I'm truly grateful. But I definitely want everyone to just take away from this, like we've stated so many times in these past couple of hours, that our power is incredibly infinite, and it is incredibly wonderful.
It is incredibly wonderful.
I hear myself. I don't know. It's like a ring. Okay.
That was me. Sorry.
Oh, okay. That's like I hear stuff. But even just like just like we said so many times tonight, just wherever you are, your flaws, your moments, all of these things are all for the good. If we can just keep in mind that the people that didn't show up is so we could show up for ourselves. The people that didn't step in is so we can step up for ourselves. The people that disappointed, because I resonated so much with what Mama Tiffany said, because she was speaking to disappointment, which is a constant challenge and battle for myself, is the disappointment in mankind, the disappointment in mindset, just hoping and believing. But the thing is that not that your hope is in outside of you, in the people, in the world, is that you're constantly renewing the hope within. You're constantly strengthening the person within. You're constantly healing the little girl within. You're constantly giving to, growing to, being there for. And when we take all the conglomerate of those experiences that brought us disappointment, that brought us doubt, that made us feel like victims in the first place, those shattering experiences, we realized that we were shattered so that we can put ourselves back together, so that we can know that the God that we serve and that we love lives right inside of us. Is the Black woman looking back at you every morning? Is the Black woman that you call on the phone when you say, sis, I need? Is the Black man that you lay and you build a home with? That's how we know, and we get the reassurance of where God really is and what God really does, because we had to be shattered and we put it back together only the way miracle workers can.
Speak.
Yes, absolutely.
Ashe, ashe.
See my sister on, bro. I just found my sister's name. I love you, Cherish.
Oh, hey, Cherish. You're so welcome. Thank you, Harmony, for that. Nzinga, what are your closing remarks, ma'am?
So, I would close us out with, I love how you, first of all, I just want to thank you, because like Harmony said, you, from me knowing you and, just like your Facebook, your, having conversations, etc., it's like you really do exude this safe place for women to be able to be okay in sisterhood. You just like embody sisterhood, right? And I really appreciate that about you. So thank you for that. And I also wanted to thank you for allowing yourself to be transparent when you spoke about something that you was working through, because I think oftentimes what happens is that people have these concepts and perspectives of people. They may be healers, but they think that these people are not human, that they too do not have struggles. So sometimes when we speak about the things that we struggle with, I think it helps people to, because just like you can come up with the topic of who defines beauty, I would like to also add who defines what a healed person is and what a broke person is. Who determines that? So when we can begin to be transparent in our experiences, it leaves room for people to be like, okay, look, like you and Tiffany, I think, not that Mama Harmony and Mama Ma'at didn't speak about these things, but I've listened to both of y'all spoke from a place of like a lot of transparency. And I think that is important that we do that in our journeys, because again, you know, it just lets people know, like, hey, it's okay to be striving for perfection or whatever you want to strive towards being healed, but you're not gonna be perfect all the time. And like Sister Tiffany said, she was like, you know, I have my days where I wake up and I don't always feel the best, you know, and she can be as powerful and as amazing as she is, but she's also human. So sometimes we go through different things. So your quote, you can be powerful and not perfect. I don't know. If I'm quoting you wrong, correct me. But it was something in alignment to that. And that's something that I would like to close out with. You can be powerful because you are powerful, because power is your birthright. You can be all of those things as you're going through your process, but you can sometimes show up and you cannot always feel like, you know, being powerful, or you can sometimes show up in your processes, and that doesn't take away from your worthiness. So be okay with going to safe places where you can speak about things that you may be still, you know, healing through. Or I just had a thought today where I had called one of my sister friends, and I just kind of like, it was out of nowhere, spoke to her about some things that happened in my childhood that I really did not. I'm telling y'all, like, you know, sometimes you could just be going through something and something could just come up, like you could be having a conversation, something, and then something from your past just kind of like comes up. And I feel like for me, that's what happened today. So one of the spaces that I'm in and something that I'm healing from is abandonment issues. And it's so many layers for me that I'm discovering so many different layers, you know, from just childhood experiences and different relationships and things of that nature from my early days of my life. And I'm kind of like learning how to place all of those things, because just like you and Mama Tiffany stated, y'all spoke about that anger and how that stuff can come up and you just be like, you don't know where this stuff time is from, and we, you know, do different things to suppress it. But saying all of that just to say, and I'm carrying on, but just to close out with what you said, that you can be powerful, which you are powerful, but you are human. So you're going to have days where you don't feel like always showing up to the capacity with the glam, the lights, like the Beyoncés and the Rihannas and whatever you want to, you're human. So as you traveling along your journey, just understand to be patient with yourself, to have compassion with yourself. Understand that this healing journey is going to be to the day that you close your eyes forever. It's not a point of destination where you just think that you're going to be there, because as you said, Hanifa, it's going to always be. Once you discover something else, you're going to discover something else. You're going to have to work and you have to build discipline for something else, and so on and so forth. So prepare yourself for the by just giving yourself the tools that you need in your bag as you're traveling. The people that you associate with, those are tools. The resources Mama Harmony spoke about, the stuff that we watch, like Sister Ma'at just now spoke about, the things that we eat, consume, etc. Those are the tools. And you just continue to put the tools in as you're traveling along this journey. And before you know it, you're going to have all you need. You're going to have all you need. So that's what I will close out with.
Thank you for that, Nzinga. And so it was pretty much saying that your power is not rooted in your perfection. That's what I was saying. It's not rooted in your perfection. And the truth be told, and I'm gonna go to my ad, we can all be multiple things at one time. More than one thing can be true about us. We can be perfect, we can be imperfect and powerful.
Ashe.
Okay, we can be shy and bold. Okay, like we can be fierce and still conservative as well. Like we can be multiple things at one time. And I'm gonna bring you guys back again to talk about that, because I think that's something that we need to talk about as women, where we allow society to lock us into one part of ourselves when there are multiple parts and multiple expressions of who we are. Multiple. So I'm going to bring you guys back to discuss that. But go ahead, Ma'at. What's your closing remarks, sis?
Beautiful conversation. Thank you for inviting me to this conversation. And thank you to my sisters here. Yeah, you know, we can hang out anytime, okay? Yeah.
I'm so with it.
So, that quote, I love it. It's so powerful, because my aunt teaches us that balance, order, that structure comes from the chaos.
Ashe.
It comes from that. birth, right, is chaotic, but what do you get at the end of birth? And so when you're creating anything that is created, it comes from that chaos. And we have to, when people talk about the comfort zone, I call it the discomfort zone, because eating poorly and ended up unhealthy, that's uncomfortable. Having too much weight on your body, that's uncomfortable. Struggling financially, that's uncomfortable. But the change happens when you're in that quote unquote discomfort, which leads to that more comfortable, having uncomfortable conversations like we have, like me and Hanifa have. That is it might be uncomfortable, but at the same time, it brings that order, that structure, it brings that change that we seek. As women, we bring it back to what Hanifa said in the beginning about the culture and how we can dictate what the culture, because we know that we're the ones that put the food on the table. We're the ones that take the educate the children for the most part. We're the ones that do all of these things that have to do with our children growing up. So what we do is mostly what they see and what they become. So what is a beautiful thing about not getting what you didn't receive, and getting and as a mother, like if you didn't get the love that you needed from your mother, that means that you turn it around and you become that mother that you did not receive. If you didn't see that relationship, that beautiful relationship, you become that beautiful relationship with that Black man
Yes.
you didn't see growing up. If you don't know what balance looks like in a relationship, you sit down and you figure that thing out. Like that's what we have to do. Like when we talk about changing the trajectory of our families, that's what we're doing right now, having this conversation. Because we are figuring out what sisterhood means. We're figuring out what it means to be a mother. We're figuring out how to have balanced relationships. We're figuring out how to have a healthy dynamic within our community. We're figuring these things out. Will we figure it all out in our lifetime? Probably not. But that means that we lay the foundation down for our children. And so it's just like when we talk about the unhealthy behaviors like food, right? That starts very young. So I have to be intentional about, if my toddler especially the toddler, if he is upset and giving him food because he's upset, or he's crying, like giving him food, because those unhealthy behaviors start very young.
Yep.
They say usually it's around 10 years of age when you start developing those unhealthy behaviors, and they kind of stick with you, those unhealthy habits. So I have to be mindful of that, rewarding my children with food all the time, rewarding them because, one of the biggest rewards in our community was like, oh, you did good in school, so let's go take you to McDonald's. So all these unhealthy behaviors and changing that, because sometimes your children just want to spend time with you.
Yeah.
That's a reward in itself. The thing that I want to end with is understanding, that we are God having a human experience. And if you don't like to say that, you can say, I am a spiritual being having a human experience. And when you think about the word experience, that just means part. Think about an experience you had, something that you forgot. That was only a part of your lifetime that you may not even remember. And so this experience that we're having is just part of our multi-dimensional being.
Hey.
And so understanding that means that my spiritual body is so much more important than this physical body. Yeah, we want to look good. We want, all that stuff. We want to look good. But at the same time, does your spirit look good? Like when people see coming, how do they feel? What does your energy feel like?
And
so that is the most important, getting your spiritual body, because that spiritual body is what's going to follow you from lifetime to lifetime, from dimension to dimension. And so I'll end with I am and I am becoming, because we are multiple things at different times.
There you go.
And understanding that as I am the greatest version of myself, I am also becoming the greatest version of myself.
I love that, Ma'at. I love
Me
that.
too. That was nice.
That
That
ties
was
back
good.
into what I said, where we can be multiple things at one time. And I like how you ended that. I am and I am becoming. Both are true at the same time. Very much so. Yes, thank you for that, Ma'at. And Tiffany, what's your closing remarks, sis?
Coming behind all of you lovely ladies. This was awesome. Thank you, Hanifa, for pulling me up, because this is not my thing to be all up out here in y'all streets, but I'm glad I came. This was a beautiful, beautiful conversation. I'm glad I was able to share with all of you. This was great. And my closing remarks is just for all of us to stay with it, stick with it, and continue to be kind to yourself, because it's a journey. And like Nzinga said, we're going to continue to learn and make mistakes and try it again until the day that we die. So it's nothing is going to come easy. And I try to tell my son that as well. This life that we're living, please remain as a kid as long as you can, because when we were young, we wanted to be adults so bad. And now that we are, it's just like, yeah, this ain't what it's wrapped up to be. This ain't really cool. And like my act just said, yeah, we want to look cute and handsome, and we think what he says, I'm not. What he says, I'm that guy. That's what he's using now. Like, I'm that guy. I'm him. I'm him. So I'm just like, okay, you can be him, but what's behind the him? That's just what people are seeing, son. I need you to get that part, so we're going to continue on this journey. So just kudos to everybody, kudos to life, kudos to learning lessons, kudos just to continuing to make the change and be better.
Thank you for that, Tiffany. Thank you so much. And he is that him. Thank you very much. But I just want to say to those who may be coming in, if you are not subscribed, make sure you go back and you hit the subscribe button. Also hit the like button. I want to say to you ladies, I appreciate this. Nzinga, how many I watch you on your channel ever since, I think it was Nzinga that shared your thing. And I went on there and I was like, I like this sister. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And so I said, I'm going to try to bring her onto the because I realized that in my real life, I'm new to this space. In my real life, I got some powerful women around me. I know some really dope individuals, right? I have a dope spiritual king that lives with me, right? That I can tap into, right? I have genius children. I have women around me like you guys that are powerful. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring you guys into this space, right? Because I'm like, no, the world needs you. This space everywhere, we need to hear this. We need to have more of these conversations. And so I'm starting to tap in to the people around me. And I was trying to think, Nzinga, you know how I feel about you. This is why I always reach out to you. I'm gonna always come for you, okay? My aunt is my new sister.
And I always answer for you.
Yes, sis. My aunt is my new sister on the block, and I'll tell people anytime, don't come for my aunt. Okay, I love my aunt. We have conversations. I met my aunt in this space, guys. This is why I'm just like, you shouldn't really just shun social media. There's a way to connect with people from all around the world who are functioning at the same frequency as you. I met my aunt in this space. We've connected outside the space, and we're still continuing to build our relationship. I love and appreciate you, my aunt, and your wisdom. I wish that you could, bring more of that. Harmony, you are a ball of fire. You remind me of myself oftentimes because I know how that is. We, when we warm up, we go in. Okay, so I know. And Tiff is If you guys don't know, Tiff is she says she's my best friend. I try to stay away from that because I don't want anyone to feel any type of way. Tiff is my closest
You
friend.
my sister, girl. You my
Yeah,
sister.
she's my closest friend to date. I pulled her out. This is not her thing, y'all, and I think she did an awesome job. And you know, yes, I because she does have a lot. She's an Aquarius. You know,
Me
she's,
too.
see,
Shout
I'm
out
a
to
fellow Aquarius.
Aquarius.
She has a lot of wisdom to share. We talk all the time, and so I wanted to kind of bring her out and showcase her. I just want to tell you, ladies, that I literally did not want to have questions for this panel because I really wanted you guys to flow, and flow you did. Thank you for all of the gems. Thank you for teaching me while allowing me to teach you, because that is what it's about. It is about reciprocity. Okay, there is the law of reciprocity. I pour into you, you pour into me. That is how this works. And I appreciate you guys for allowing me to pour into you and being gracious enough to pour back into me. This is what it's all about. This is what these conversations are all about. So again, I can't thank you guys enough. I really cannot. I can't thank you guys who tuned in today. You guys showed up and showed out. I know I probably didn't get to all the messages. These ladies will be back. Okay, even if I have to drag them by their left arm, okay? Not violently, spiritually, guys, spiritually. If I have to drag them back here, I'm bringing them back here because we have a lot to unpack and we have a lot to talk about as Black women, period. And so I appreciate you guys and I love you guys. And I love everyone that tuned in today. Again, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit it, share if you feel like this is something that someone should probably tune into and take a listen. I appreciate you guys. And until next time, ladies, because there will be a next time, I am going to say peace and I love you guys, and peace to everyone in the chat.
Ashe.
All righty, bye-bye.
Love you all.